Hey guys, I do apologize. It's a little weird. Uh, so I just moved to a new place. Still trying to figure out a place to set up, and I actually don't even have my desk yet. And I'm doing my best to keep the volume down because the walls are thin. So I finally moved out with my sisters. Hopefully by the time you see this one, if you watch them in order, you can tell this one I've actually finally got internet back because episodes are starting to upload. So, guess I'm gonna do what I always do and just gonna talk. Stuff tends to pop out. You know what, I am gonna do a reading. I'll get up and get my deck in a second, but talk about my life and how it's been going on and how spirit and reality and things are shifting. Things are getting weird. Weird. So I'm gonna drop something here. I came to terms last week that I am autistic. This is more difficult than I thought. So I've never actually been fully diagnosed. I am self-diagnosed. However, with very, very, very good reason. I've been working on myself a lot lately, and I've been doing a bunch of shadow work. And for those who know what that is, in doing so, you have to go back through your past. You have to replay, relive, and rewrite the memories and the stories of your past. So I'm basically cycling through my childhood and my adulthood and my teenhood, and it's kind of crappy because you get to see all the good and the bad. So there's goods and bads, but one thing started kind of coming to surface, and I've kind of known for a while. I was off to say, because I didn't know what it was at the time. Back when Big Bang Theory came out, there's a character, for those who haven't seen it, named Sheldon Cooper. They're all physicists, and this guy is supposed to be like super genius. And he has these weird quirks though. Like, he can't determine social cues. Like when someone is angry or someone is sarcastic or they say something like, oh, yeah, that's a big help. He goes, you're welcome. And they're just like, what? Stuff like that. I'm just like, that's something I've struggled with. Okay, well, he's clearly working on it, so I'm gonna do my best. And I started working on it. Well, years later, 4 or 5 years specifically, 4 or 5 years ago, I had a coworker who has a cousin who is autistic, but he's actually like a full-grown adult. He's got a kid, he's got a wife, and they talked about the struggles when I was gaming. And he was being open and honest about it. And he's like, this is blah, 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 this is how I feel. Sounds like he's very self-aware and learning to manage it. And then, of course, talking about it, things started popping up in my POV and my FOV, or whatever you call it, the field of view, my field of view. And autistic videos started popping up. I just kind of did some research. And then there was a dorky video that actually linked to Sonic and autism. And I was like, fucking damn it, alright, I gotta watch this. And then I watched it and it actually made sense. So I'm just like, okay, well, we're just gonna ignore this. I just kind of put it away. I was like, well, maybe, maybe not. Maybe I am, maybe not. Whatever. this last month has really brought it back to head. And I decided to actually go forth with and ask my family. I have an older sister and a younger sister, so they were the first ones to call because they spent the most time with me. More than my parents. So, luckily I'm at a better place. I asked my older sister, I was like, hey Steph, do you think I'm autistic? She goes, duh, you're just now figuring this out? It's like, well, no, but what? Nobody told me. In fact, I actually texted my dad. We'll go into that in a second. And I talked to my younger sister. I did the same thing. I actually talked to her face to face. My older sister I called on the phone. My younger sister I was living with. My last day, I literally look at her and go, by the way, do you think I'm autistic? She goes, well, missing social cues, having burnout meltdowns, she just went down this list of, things that they experience. And I checked off every single box. She goes, yeah, I think so. And I was like, well, damn it. The reason I struggle with it is because I know you see people accepting it and totally running with it. First off, I don't like being one of those people to self-diagnose. Because, of course, everyone thinks they always have everything. Oh, I've got ADHD, I've got bipolar, I've got... Well, thinking about it, of course, at some point, I will go see a professional and see what they say, but I feel like the second I walk in the door, you're going to be like, well, what brings you in? I think I'm autistic. Why is that? Blah, blah, blah. Then you probably are. I feel like that's how it's going to go. The odd thing is, it clicked something into place, and now I'm just kind of like, that colored a lot of gaps in my life, and that kind of makes sense now. Of course, it could be an easy excuse, but at the same time, you're just like, so it's, and I'm guilty about it. I feel guilty. And that's the funny thing. When I talked to my dad about it, I texted him and said, hey man, did you guys have me tested as a kid? He goes, yes, we had you thoroughly screened for everything. You were not autistic. It's like, what about my sensitivity to touch? It's like, what do you mean? I was like, well, I remember you telling me I used to cry whenever I sat in grass. I hated it. I would scream and throw a tantrum. And I, even to this day, hate touching raw meat. Cooking is difficult. I can bypass it. I can let it go. Just I put myself in some other mental area while my body continues to process it. Disassociation, kind of. While I'm still doing it. That's how I handle that. But I had asked him about it, and he goes, yeah, well, that's because as a child you were always on a blanket, you were never really out touching things. So, that is fair. I will consider that as a possibility. Unfortunately, that is one tick off the box. There's like 12. So, still kind of leaning towards it. The other part that makes me question it is because he was also very adamant I'm not disabled. I am. I'm literally missing most of my left arm. That is a disability. I acknowledge it. I accept it. I don't let it affect me. He's always had a problem accepting it. He actually got mad when someone called me handicapped or disabled. I think it offended him more than it offended me. So in the same essence, when asking him if I'm autistic, he, of course, I felt like was quick to defend it, and was even a little scared. Because if it turns out I am, then that means the child abuse was a little worse than we thought it was. It means I wasn't a terrible kid. It means I had issues, and they were terrible parents who didn't know how to do it. They were terrible parents. They just also didn't know how to deal with it. They didn't know what it was. They didn't know. So years later, finding out if I am autistic, then that means they would have to admit all the guilt. So I think it's easier to deny that I'm autistic than criminalize yourself, you know? I don't think I hold it against him anymore. I think it's just his insecurities flaring because he feels guilty. And that's fair. I understand. This kind of really sets a lot of stuff into place. The biggest thing that makes sense, that clicked, the other day, I had to move a chunk of I had to move my bed. And I rented a truck, a van. And I am been super overstimulated. I went from living alone for 4 years to living in my sister's house where she actually lived in a dog kennel. Her managers bought a house, she lives there, and she runs the kennel and boards and takes care of animals and trains them. The managers were kind enough to let me live there for a little while. And it was hell. I mean, I am really grateful. I am extremely grateful. I thanked her. I did everything I could to be out of her way, to be as kind and just, you know, as squishy as possible. Yeah, accommodating, whatever you need. Oh, I'm sorry, I am in your place. I am, I'm being grateful. But it was just a sensory overload. Literally people in and out of the house, because even though she lived there, it was also a facility of work. So other people were coming in, constantly taking in and out dogs, training, talking while she was there, doing her work. A lot of people in the house, a lot of animals. The house was always constantly filled, and it could hold 10 to 20 dogs. So I wasn't sleeping. The dogs, obviously, loud. Natural sleep, distress. I was bugging out. The natural setting of being uncomfortable. I am in someone else's territory, somebody else's home. I can't shake the feeling of just uncomfortability walking in the door. And that never left. I don't think it changes no matter how long I stay there. So I was acknowledging I'm getting super overloaded. Meeting a bunch of new people, talking to a bunch of new people. Not having proper space. It's just... So the day I was moving the truck, or my bed, I was having issues. Long day, I had to work. I couldn't take the day off. So I got off of work at the hottest part of the day, like every single thing was going wrong. I'm not even going into specifics, but it's one of those days, everything was going wrong. Got the truck, had issues, had more issues, blah blah blah. Okay, I paused it because the AC was going and it didn't want to stop. You can definitely hear that. So anyways, there were other things such as meltdowns. I realized later it wasn't just like a typical, temper tantrum or anything. It was my brain stopped clicking. The best way I can explain it is things make sense, things are working, things are fluid. And then it slowly starts degrading, and then the train completely derails off the track. And then the further you try to make it work, the less it makes sense, and then it just starts getting fucked, and you start just twitching and clicking, and I think the universe has been trying to tell me this for a while. There was one hint recently in the last year. One of a friend I hang out with from time to time, older gent, showed me a movie called The Accountant. It was about exactly that. This kid was autistic. And he shows the scene of him being diagnosed. And he was doing a puzzle. Backwards. That's not the important part. But the important part is, he was all good, fine, and dandy until he couldn't find the last puzzle piece. He had a meltdown. And I'm just like, okay, that makes sense. And I'm just going through just all my memories, and it's like, okay. I don't think I need to see a doctor to know. Kind of like that classic meme. Undiagnosed, but pretty sure. So. However, on the plus side, when I get the grip on this, that just means I'm going to be a bona fide badass. Because the Accountant movie ended up, the dude was incredibly intelligent. To the point, he actually became an accountant of the highest degree. Mafias, criminals, lord bosses would hire him to cook the books and figure out or find out who's stealing from them or blah, 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 blah. You know, and this guy goes in and everyone actually respected the guy because of the service. So nobody tried to kill him, nobody tried to hurt him. They're like, all right, this guy, you know, honorable. Well, he was autistic. That's why he was better with the math, the numbers. It's this weird chemical balance of offsetting in my mind, is how I think of it, is you have silly quirks, but to balance out those quirks, you have almost superpowers. And this guy's numbers were just genius level. And he actually gets hired to do this one job and blah blah blah, but that's not the important part. Not the movie. It's a good movie though. But as an adult, he actually realized he was autistic, and he actually does sensory fulfillments to help him process. Like, he would sit in his room with a rolling pin and roll down his leg while a strobe light went off. And there was one time when he was actually trying to solve one of the problems, and he was writing it out on Windows like it was a whiteboard. And he filled up this entire office. Well, the guy who hired him was, of course, the guy who did it, and realized he was actually going to figure it out. So he said, oh, we figured it out, we closed the case, and they cleaned the windows. And he's like, I wasn't done. I wasn't done. I wasn't done. Why did he clean that? He actually went home, and he had a different form of sensory routine. He actually inflicted pain. He actually took the rolling pin this time and was wailing on his leg. Like, those kind of different sensory things. So I was saying the story earlier, I kind of trailed off. So while I was driving the van, I'm having a hard day. My head's killing me. I either didn't drink enough water or I had a migraine, something. And that, of course, makes it difficult. I just got off a day of work, which I hate my job. Who doesn't? So, a stressful day, hottest part of the day. It's probably overheating. And I was just not having a good fucking day. And I realized, I'm like, I'm getting edgy, I'm getting almost kind of scary even. And my brain's like, yo, Adam, calm down. You're driving a 3-ton truck. You're gonna want to calm down there, buddy. And I was like, you're out. All right. Fuck. And I cranked on. I literally just pressed the power button on the radio, cranked it up to a obnoxious level, and just was like, "Ugh." It was actually Spice Girls, so I wasn't like heavy metal like you would think it was. It was just the sensory. It was a song I knew. It was calming to me even at that level, and cranking it up to that level, that's gonna sound weird, but it's chaos drowns out chaos. It's like magnetic force. They cancel each other out, basically. So even though someone else would get overstimulated to the music being super duper loud and hurting their ears, I was being overstimulated, so the overstimulation actually balanced out the stimulation. I can't really explain it, it's just the best way I can. And at that point, I'm just like, because I even returned the truck with a smile on my face. Before, I was cussing at the guy. I didn't mean to. I was trying not to, but I'm like, dude, my phone lost its signal, and I had to finish the reservation using my phone to check into a system. And I even stepped outside, and there was no signal. I'm flipping out. I'm like, what the fuck? I managed to connect to their Wi-Fi, checked my phone bill. It was fine. It didn't turn off my phone. I'm just like, what is going on? So I was having a damn bad day. Well, I came back, returned the truck, exhausted as hell, smile on my face. I'm like, hey, yo, bro, here's the keys. Have a good day. Anyway, you look at it. Yeah. So, cool thing is though, an interesting perspective is because I see the world differently than most people, I get to see the world differently than most people. It's kind of weird. But like I said, it clicks and makes somewhat sense. That's why I've always felt so alone, and why people don't understand my perspective, or I can't understand theirs sometimes. Although, working on myself, I've gotten much better. Communication has also been a significant issue. Words, just not my thing. Especially growing up, holy shit, it got me in so much trouble. And it's one of those, if I was just diagnosed as a kid, maybe things would have been so different. Of course, there's no point in thinking about that, because they weren't. Yeah. I'm not bitter. I'm not angry. I'm just kind of accepting of it. We'll see how it plays into my life. Because again, now that I know, it's kind of interesting. And in fact, once I get a handle on my things, I'm going to be a bona fide badass. You just gotta get there. So, I'm gonna go get a deck. I'll be right back. And even though this video's kind of been more or less a autism awareness thing, I'm still gonna do a reading because it's fun. And I'm feeling kind of spicy, so we're gonna use the dragon deck. And this, I'm not a... Ooh. On the bottom of the deck, can't see, cool beans. Silver dragon, and backwards. Silver dragon, illuminate your potential with higher light. Access untapped resources. Look into your soul, see higher potentials. Cool. I can dig it. And see, that's what I was just talking about. If I can actually get a handle on my shit, I would be golden. Because again, it makes so much sense. Because I didn't know. Nobody told me. I had no idea. I literally thought I was fucking crazy. I thought I was crazy. Because I wasn't like my family. And I didn't understand things, and they got mad at me whenever I didn't, and just... Goddamn. Didn't have to get that... Come on. Don't have to go deep. Let's just draw some cards. Alright, what do we got? Sadly, I didn't bring in my little board, so I'm just gonna have to hold them. Da-da-da-da. Ooh. The white gold dragon from Lyra connects you to the higher Christ light. Develop your casual chakra. Bathe in the 9th dimensional Christ light. Interesting. I'm going to let you decide what it means for yourself. For me, I'm going to get a little esoteric and a little religious, kind of. So religion teaches, Christianity specifically, Catholicism, Jesus says try to be like Jesus. And most people, I don't think they actually meant it literally, but I believe it was meant literally. There is a scene in the Bible, I forget, Paul, Job, one of the apostles. Jesus was out on a fishing boat. Shit was getting crazy, storms everywhere. They wake him up and Jesus, what the hell's going on? He just like, boop, calm, be calm. Then he just goes out and starts walking on the water, and they're like, what the hell's going on? He goes, yo, you can do this too. Come on. And I forget his name, but one of them actually step out of the boat and starts walking on water. We are literally supposed to be like Christ. But what he actually is, that's the real question. Because religions paint him as different figures. He was essentially just, quote unquote, an evolved being. That's what I believe. So he was trying to show us how to be like him. Now maybe humans actually can turn water into wine. I don't know. I'm not going to get that deep into it today. The esoteric stuff gets a little weird. But he literally would say be like him. I believe that was one theme somewhere, maybe multiple times, is to be as Christ-like or Jesus-like as possible. Not the goal to be perfect, but to continue to better yourself. The next card. Royal Blue and Gold Dragon. Wow, these cards are fucking beautiful, and I don't remember these ones. I swear I've looked at every card in my deck. Strengthens you to stand in your power with wisdom. Awaken your own majesty, wear your cloak of pride and of power with pride. I mean, it means really accepting who you are. Awaken to your own majesty. AKA, look at how freaking awesome you are. And wear it with pride. Don't shove it in people's face, but definitely be like, you know what? Yeah. And the last one. Gold and silver, violet, flame, dragon. Ooh, what? Like, I swear I've seen all of these cards. Huh. Okay. Transmute the old around you with wisdom and grace. It's time for transmutation magic and healing. That's definitely something that's been going on with me. I don't know about you. It's like, even though I've seen these cards, I mean, it's like I'm seeing them for the first time. It's kind of weird. I really like it. I love this deck. I've always really been connected with dragons. I know I have a dragon. Maybe two. Dragon spirit. Not like I literally own a dragon. No. I have a dragon spirit. And maybe I knew that as a kid. I don't know. But I've always been obsessed with them. It's one of my favorite decks. I mean, dude, just dragons. They're dragons. They're flying lizards. Like, look at that. That's just... I'm getting too focused on this. Because that's one physical form they can take. Dragons are also spiritual entities. Energy. They just choose to take form of a giant, badass lizard. Y'all have a good night.